Have you ever noticed how certain people seem to influence the atmosphere around them without uttering a single word? They don't yell or demand attention. They simply pull back and instantly, the entire energy shifts. People begin to wonder, to chase, to feel uneasy. Now imagine if you did the same. What if you stopped reacting to everything right away? What if, instead of responding impulsively, you chose silence? What if, instead of exploding, you quietly withdrew? What do you think would happen? That's the turning point. The moment you stop being constantly available emotionally, physically, mentally, the world around you enters a small crisis. People who once controlled you through your reactions, impulses, and predictability suddenly lose their grip. The day you decide to withdraw, the dynamic changes completely. Those who believed they knew you suddenly realize they never did. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." So ask yourself, when you become inaccessible, who grows restless? Who gets angry or tries to provoke you, desperate to awaken some emotion in you? Their reactions reveal far more about them than about you. And in those moments, you begin to see how often you've been manipulated without even knowing it, always giving, always pleasing, trying to keep the peace, trying not to lose people who were never truly with you. Every forced yes, every quick reply, every emotional reaction costs you a piece of your energy. And at the end of the day, what remains? Fatigue, frustration, a quiet emptiness you can't explain. Do you know why? Because you've been too available for people who don't even deserve a minute of your silence. This message isn't about turning your back on the world. It's about turning toward yourself choosing you. It's about understanding what Carl Jung described as individuation, the journey toward becoming whole, authentic, and complete. And that path often begins in silence. Because silence, when born from awareness rather than avoidance, can be more powerful than 1,000 arguments. Ask yourself, how long will you let others control your emotions? How long will you react like a puppet every time someone touches an old wound? Perhaps it's time to cut those strings, to retreat, to become a mystery. Because when you're no longer constantly available, everything shifts. From childhood, you were taught to always show up, to answer quickly, to say yes even when you wanted to say no. You were conditioned to believe that your worth depends on how present you are for others. But here's the truth few dare to say out loud. Excessive availability isn't kindness, it's captivity. As long as you feel compelled to be accessible at all times, you will be manipulated, drained, and discarded the moment you're no longer useful. Being predictable makes you a tool. People begin to use you like an emotional emergency button. They press when they need validation, comfort, or distraction, then set you aside once their crisis passes. And yet, you keep doing it, trapped in the illusion that being available for everyone will make someone finally be there for you. But it never works that way. Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted and loved. That mask keeps you overly available. You say you're fine while suffocating. You reply to messages though exhausted. You explain, justify, and defend yourself as if the world is owed an answer. But the more you center yourself in other people's stories, the more you disappear from your own. Being endlessly available isn't generosity. It's self-abandonment disguised as virtue. Constant availability is a subtle form of self-betrayal. It's a quiet attempt to earn love through usefulness, to avoid rejection by proving your value. You try to control how others see you, but the more you do, the more you pay with your peace. Your emotional energy is not infinite. It's limited, fragile, and sacred. Yet you spend it recklessly, as if it could never run out. People who demand your presence all the time don't actually want you. They crave what you provide: validation, attention, companionship, comfort. The moment you change, when you start setting boundaries or stop reacting, those same people become irritated. They accuse you of being distant, strange, or selfish. But their anger isn't proof that you've changed for the worse. It's proof that you're no longer serving their needs. And here lies one of life's cruelest truths. The more available you are, the less you are valued. Anything too abundant becomes ordinary, disposable. No one truly respects what is easily obtained. No one treasures what doesn't need to be earned. So stop and reflect. Who truly deserves your time? Who deserves your presence, your attention, your listening? Or maybe the better question is, who deserves your absence? But before you can answer that, you must understand why you react so easily, why you keep giving in, why you feel compelled to respond, explain, and please. The reason lies in what Carl Jung called psychic energy, the inner fuel that powers every emotion, thought, and action. And that is what we'll explore next. Because your energy is your most precious resource. If you don't learn to guard it, someone else will drain it for their own use. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to reflect before moving on. The awareness you gain now will change the way you relate to everyone around you. Carl Jung described psychic energy as the life force of the mind, the invisible current that fuels every thought, emotion, and action. Just as the body needs food to survive, the psyche requires this inner energy to function. When it's flowing freely, you feel alive, inspired, connected. But when it's drained or blocked, you feel numb, anxious, or lost. Every person, object, and idea that captures your attention consumes a piece of this energy. That's why your focus is sacred. When you give your attention to something, you're essentially feeding it with your life force. Most people don't realize this. They scatter their energy across endless distractions, shallow conversations, and digital noise. The result? They feel constantly tired, but not physically, psychically. It's a fatigue that coffee can't fix, a sense of emptiness that no vacation can heal. You start to wonder why you feel so drained after talking to certain people or scrolling through endless content. The answer is simple. Your energy has been leaking. Protecting your psychic energy isn't about isolation, it's about discernment. It's learning to recognize what deserves your awareness and what doesn't. Some interactions nourish you. Others deplete you. Some ideas expand your consciousness. Others confine it. Every choice you make either strengthens or weakens your inner power. Imagine your attention as sunlight. Wherever it shines, things grow. But if you spread it too thin, nothing flourishes. You can't nurture everything. You must choose what truly matters. And that's the beginning of self-mastery, not control over others, but control over your own inner energy. Once you learn to direct it consciously, your life stops feeling random. You stop reacting and start creating. Every time you get emotionally entangled with someone, a subtle exchange of energy occurs. You give away fragments of your inner power in every reaction, argument, and attempt to be understood. Most people don't notice how much they lose in the process until they feel hollow, tired, or disconnected from themselves. You might think that being emotionally available is always a virtue. But there's a difference between feeling deeply and leaking energy. When you constantly seek to fix, explain, or rescue others, you unconsciously hand over your strength. Empathy, when unguarded, becomes exhaustion. Compassion without boundaries turns into self-erasure. Emotional vampires don't always come with malicious intent. Sometimes they're simply lost souls trying to fill their emptiness through others. They feed on attention, validation, or drama because they've never learned how to sustain their own light. It means choosing silence over unnecessary explanation, distance over forced harmony. You begin to realize that not every invitation to conflict deserves your RSVP. And once you start guarding your energy, life begins to reorganize itself. People who were only attached to your emotional availability will fade away. Those who value your presence, not your energy supply, will remain. That's the silent purification that happens when you start protecting your inner world. It's not cruelty, it's alignment. There's a kind of silence that doesn't come from the absence of noise, but from the absence of reaction. It's the moment you stop trying to explain yourself, to prove your intentions, or to be understood by those determined not to see you. In that silence, you reclaim the power you had scattered through endless words and emotional debates. You start to realize that not every battle deserves your participation, and not every misunderstanding requires correction. The need to justify yourself is just another way of seeking control over how others perceive you. But once you let go of that, something incredible happens. You become free. This silence isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the silence of inner strength, of someone who no longer needs validation to feel real. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that truth doesn't require defense. It sustains itself. The world is addicted to noise because silence forces people to face themselves. It strips away distractions and exposes what's been hiding underneath: fear, insecurity, unresolved emotion. That's why solitude terrifies so many. It holds up a mirror that can't be avoided. But for those who dare to stay within it, silence becomes a sacred teacher. It refines perception, sharpens intuition, and restores clarity. You begin to notice patterns that once slipped past you, words that no longer deserve your energy, and relationships that were only sustained by your constant effort. The more you embrace silence, the louder your awareness becomes. You start hearing what truly matters: your intuition, your peace, your own inner rhythm. And in that awareness, your energy stops leaking into noise and begins to return home. This is not withdrawal, it's refinement. You are not escaping the world. You're reclaiming your center within it. And once you've tasted that kind of silence, you'll never again confuse noise with connection. True detachment is not indifference. It's the art of caring deeply without allowing that care to consume you. It's choosing peace over chaos, clarity over emotional confusion. When you begin to detach, it can feel unnatural at first, like you're losing something. But what's actually happening is liberation. You're no longer chained to the moods, expectations, and validations of others. You start to understand that you can love someone and still walk away. You can wish someone well and still refuse to carry their burdens. Detachment doesn't mean you've stopped feeling, it means your feelings have matured. They are no longer desperate for approval or attention. They exist freely, without conditions. People often misunderstand this transformation. They'll say you've changed, that you're colder or distant. But in truth, you've simply stopped performing the emotional labor they used to depend on. You've stopped being a mirror for their insecurities. And when someone loses the version of you that served them, they'll call it betrayal. Yet detachment is not betrayal, it's balance. It's the understanding that energy must flow both ways to remain alive. One-sided giving always leads to resentment and exhaustion. By reclaiming your energy, you allow others to face themselves, to grow, or to fade according to what they truly seek. There's a peace that comes with letting go of what you cannot control. It's not resignation, it's wisdom. You stop trying to force outcomes, stop rehearsing conversations, stop fighting for spaces where your energy is not respected. You start trusting life to remove what no longer belongs. And in that surrender, you find yourself again, not as a role or reflection of someone else's needs, but as a whole being, intact and calm within your own presence. Once you learn to protect your energy, something unexpected happens. You begin to transmute your emotions instead of being ruled by them. This is emotional alchemy, turning pain into awareness, anger into clarity, fear into movement. It's the process of transforming energy rather than suppressing it. Most people believe they must get rid of negative emotions, but emotions aren't enemies, they're messengers. Anger shows where your boundaries were crossed. Sadness reveals what still needs closure. Anxiety points to where your energy is scattered. When you listen to these messages instead of fighting them, you reclaim their power. Suppression traps energy. Expression transforms it. Emotional alchemy is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about meeting your inner storms with consciousness instead of resistance. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" As this awareness deepens, you start seeing patterns, the same types of people you attract, the same situations that test your patience, the same wounds that reappear in new forms. Life repeats lessons until they are integrated. When you finally understand the pattern, it dissolves not because the world changed, but because you did. This transformation isn't loud or dramatic. It's subtle, internal, often invisible to others. But it shifts everything. You stop leaking energy through reactivity and begin radiating strength through presence. Your emotions no longer control your life. They become tools for evolution. And that is the essence of inner mastery, not to suppress the storm, but to learn how to stand still in the rain without losing yourself. Once you've reached that point, nothing external can truly shake you. You've turned your chaos into gold. As you continue this journey, a natural consequence arises. You will be misunderstood. People will accuse you of changing, of being cold, distant, or even arrogant. They will try to pull you back into old patterns, to trigger the reactions they once relied on. But this is not a reflection of your wrongness. It's a reflection of their dependence on your old availability. The more you protect your energy and refuse to react impulsively, the more you expose the projections others have placed on you. Your silence becomes a mirror they cannot avoid. And many will panic, feeling the absence of control. For them, your unavailability is threatening because it forces self-reflection they have long resisted. Yet being misunderstood is a sign of progress, not failure. It indicates that you are no longer a tool for someone else's emotional security. You are reclaiming space for yourself, stepping away from roles imposed upon you since childhood. You are finally choosing your peace over performance, your truth over approval. In this period of detachment, loneliness may appear, but it is not emptiness. It is the fertile soil of self-reclamation. In solitude, you recover the energy once scattered to satisfy others. You become attuned to your own voice, your own needs, and your own rhythm. You rediscover clarity, resilience, and inner authority. And as you emerge from this silence, something powerful happens. The world begins to respect your boundaries. Not everyone will appreciate it, but those who matter will. The more rare and selective you become, the more your presence gains weight, value, and authenticity. Misunderstanding is the threshold to freedom. To be misunderstood is to finally exist for yourself, rather than for the expectations of others. When you fully embrace your unavailability, a profound transformation occurs. First comes silence, the uncomfortable pause where doubts arise, where you question your choices, where the absence of constant validation feels stark. Gradually, that silence heals. It clears confusion, calms anxiety, and restores your energy. Next comes solitude, not the emptiness of isolation, but the fullness of your own presence. This is the solitude of strength, of someone who no longer sacrifices themselves to maintain the illusion of connection. Here, clarity replaces chaos, peace replaces neediness, and a new kind of power emerges, the power of being whole within yourself. Carl Jung called this process individuation, becoming who you truly are. It requires distancing yourself from the collective, shedding masks, and walking alone long enough to rediscover your essence. When you choose unavailability, you are not fleeing life. You are returning to your center. You stop reacting and begin to create. Those who feel uncomfortable with your absence reveal they never wanted you. They wanted the role you played. And when you no longer fit, they don't know how to relate. This is liberating. You may lose people, but you gain yourself. You may be misunderstood, but you earn respect. You become rare, valuable, unforgettable. This is rebirth. A life where you no longer settle for emotional crumbs, mind games, or hollow affection. You only accept what aligns with your truth, peace, and wholeness. True self-love begins when you choose yourself, even if it means being alone for a while. Are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, or even disliked in pursuit of your freedom? If so, you step into a life of conscious sovereignty, reclaiming your energy, your presence, and your power to shape your own reality. If this video resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to explore more insights from history's greatest minds, please like this video and hit that subscribe button. See you next time.